Should be,
Okay,
should
there
be
we go.
good.
There we go.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call the special meeting of the South Bristol School Board to order on Tuesday, September 15th at 5:30. We are having we're going to go ahead and do executive session first, and then resume our meeting hopefully around 6 o'clock. We'll do a roll call of Normand, Bob, Susan, Sarah, and Nick. And everybody's here. I don't have a flag, so we're not going to do the pledge. And we'll just go ahead and enter into executive session at 5:41.
Okay.
All right, so we are out of executive session. I feel like I should wait a minute or two for that to go through. And then we'll start in with Scott's report. Well, actually, we can talk about, I should have probably talked about it, adjustments to the agenda. We adjusted it to include executive session, and then maybe a brief talk about kind of how we'd like to get data for Mary Jane's survey of South Bristol, talking about that in very general terms with no names attached. But groups of people that we would like to get feedback from. Okay. All right, do we have any? We still don't. I don't know. Should we wait? How does this work? I feel bad.
No, I'd
Okay.
say roll. They're living by their phone, so I just said the link is on. So
Okay, Scott, go ahead and you want to start with the principal's report then?
I sure can, and I'll be quick. I will, Craig. Here we go. Any questions? Hearing none? No.
Wait, I have one question, Scott, or actually to Sarah. You're reviewing all the policies, so that committee that I'm on, what do we do?
We do it too. I mean, he's made a really good start, and he's weeded out some of them. So we'll just have to touch base with him and figure out what the next steps are. He jumped on it sooner than I thought, to be honest. I gave him a reprieve of a month while school is starting, and he's already going great guns. So
I've been getting here at the crack of dawn, baby, to get this done. So.
You can sleep. It's okay.
Yeah.
I will need help with the coding, but that's just, Craig could probably give me a 30-second tutorial just to recode the existing policies so they match the policies that are there. We have 99% of the stuff we're in good shape with.
Yeah, they went from numbers to letters, and I'll get you the new system.
Yeah, so I guess
we're really good.
I guess once that happens, then maybe we can get binders printed up, and then we can start going through them.
That sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Best practice.
Perfect.
it's a good committee to be on.
You seem to have a knack for that.
Yeah.
I was a state employee.
Asking for a password, Lindsay.
You're muted, Liz.
It's in the body of the email that I sent them. If they go in through the email, there should be all the information plus a link to click.
All right, that's done. All right, I'm going to continue with my report. So in addition to the information in the report, I'll say that we had our first ever virtual tour of the South Bristol School today with a family from New York. So that was kind of cool. They will be coming up here most likely in a couple of weeks. And they have an elementary student that will be most likely enrolling. We've had a kindergarten student who switched from the off-site program to the in-person. And we've had a third grader who is homeschooled, who is now enrolled in our school and doing off-site learning. So we've had some movement around that we expected. I tried to let that number one on the updated enrollment. I know that can be very confusing, that table, but I'm trying to give you all the angles. Number two, I think we handled that earlier. Number 3, Mary Jane is coming here tomorrow and Thursday to have one-on-ones with teachers after doing a classroom visit. She's still obviously
Coming
collecting
in
data.
person? Coming in person?
Yes. And she came last week and spent a couple of hours with me and we had some really good conversations.
Sure.
And I'll say that I've begun some work on a formal school improvement plan, but it's just a draft. It can't be mine. It has to be ours. So we're just looking at that. It's very crude, but it's something that I'm going to show the staff tomorrow, just so that.
God, I'm sorry for interrupting, but also it's going to have to conform to that tier 3 Indigo or whatever it is system.
Indigo Star.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy about that.
I spent an hour watching the webinar this afternoon, and you're not going to be happy when you watch it.
Nope, I'm ecstatic.
It's arcane, but it also connects to the CNA, and we've had those conversations as well. So, and we have a what do they call Jeannie, the educational consultant from the Department of Ed?
Yeah, I think the coach, maybe.
Yes, our coach.
Our coach. Okay, so that money is tied to that. Okay, fantastic. We'll make that happen. I'm fired up about that.
It's probably just a translation of what you've done into a different format.
It is. I'm sure it is, but it's the commitment of the meetings.
I entirely agree, and we're going to have to push back on that. You just don't have enough people to fill all the roles that you're looking for.
It's not a money issue at all.
No, I understand.
There's plenty of money there. It's not a money issue. It's the coverage issue.
Yep.
And that's going to be really, really hard. If I remember right, reading that paperwork, Craig, they said weekly meetings.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
There's no way around it, so we'll have to. What they call a meeting may not be what we call a meeting.
Fantastic. Okay. Boy. And then the policy work is done. We're not done, but a good start on it. And then the return to school update. I'm not going to read those to you, but I will say that, we continue to learn as we do this. And I think that we've done a really good job. We've got some good feedback from parents, and we have little things here and there, like a 5-minute, we need to take away here and add 5 minutes there to help with transitions. I think we can handle that.
Anyone have any questions for Scott?
I'm curious about Kurt from the boat shop. Was he at school?
He was, for this, Craig. He was isolated in a room.
Okay.
I consider him, for this purpose, a staff member.
Okay.
For this,
Well,
I know he's not on a staff contract, but he's actually on a, this is something.
I'm good. I didn't know who he was, and I am asking that question about who's on site because we've done so much work around bubbles and pods, and we've got people now coming in, and I just want to be constantly aware.
No, he had an escort, and we went right into the a vacant room.
Okay.
And everybody had masks on, and it was legit. But that's a good question.
Okay.
Well, and he's not dissimilar to Cam either, right?
From Kiev?
Yeah.
Similar to Cam, yes.
Yeah.
I would say that, like the educator and residents, we're not going to say no to that. I mean, we have a contract with those guys too, so it's.
And Kurt is only seeing 5 kids, so that's even less, and 1 staff member. So.
Right.
Anybody have any questions for Scott?
I have a question that I hesitate to ask or bring up, but I'm sure you've thought about this, but I'm wondering about voting on election day and what you're thinking about that.
Craig, do you want to take this one?
I will take this one. So we were already approached by Bristol about using the school for voting. Jefferson, Nobleboro's kind of in the wings. Great Salt Bay won't be used because it's a consolidated school. But what we're going to do is we're going to close school on November 3rd, AOS wide and go remote at all schools as kind of a practice for a snow day.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can't have kids and the public in mingling or commingling like that. And it'll be not a hardship, but a routine that the custodians will have to clean up after them for the next day, and they'll just plan on that. Because
That's great.
the voting will be right there where the seventh and eighth grade is. So yeah, thanks for asking, Susan. It's a good reminder for me.
Good
Yeah,
jump
that's a-
start for a snow day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it's a jump start.
I was curious about what materials the different groups of our community is getting, like in terms of like, are the newsletters getting sent to the offsite learners and the homeschoolers as well as the parents, or are those just going to in-school people, and kind of what's being done? And it might be too early to ask this question. What's being done, or what are you kind of thinking about doing to keep the entirety of the community together?
Well, as of right now, we've done, I think, 2 newsletters, and I think they've gone home to the parents that are on the parent list created in Power School. So those that are enrolled, I don't believe that they are going home to anybody but the people on that parent list. When I say enrolled, I mean enrolled. So the people that are offsite, they are getting it. If the homeschool parents would want that, we certainly can arrange that. That's not an issue. Need to add them, probably just add them to the address book.
It might be an interesting thing to put to the homeschool parents. I know Jason kind of approached some of the homeschoolers in his class and said, look, I don't want to bombard you with emails. I don't want to send them to you if you don't want them. But if you'd like to stay on your class email list, I will keep you on there. So it might just be a good community building, not to reach out to those people to see if that's something they would be interested in or not.
Well, it's easy enough to send, whether they want to read it or not, I guess. But I'll be happy to send those. I think that's easy.
I understand that like there's no obligation on our part because these kids aren't enrolled, but I think that there is an obligation because they're only unenrolled because of COVID, and they plan, I think all of them plan to re-enroll next year.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, is that it for the principal's report and discussion? All right, so the agenda adjustment was to talk about, we had set aside the $5,000 from our town budget to hire a consultant to help us plot the future of South Bristol School in all sorts of ways. Financially, enrollment-wise, just how we can make it a viable school. It's kind of overlapped with the Tier 3 process, so that's kind of gone ahead with Mary Jane. And you all should have seen the list that she sent of people that she contacted or wasn't able to contact. And I want to be sure not to talk about names, but just to talk about groups of the population that we may want to reach out to help us gather information so that she can make recommendations and bring up topics about the future of the school. And I just wanted to use that list as kind of a starting point and see if there were suggestions, either how to do this process or anything else kind of related to that.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking everybody, actually.
Well, I was a little disappointed in the non-responses, and I was wondering if she shouldn't expand the contact list. The responses, I don't think, are very representative of the entire community, and you just need a larger sample. So I'd like to see more parents solicited, and I'd be curious to see if those who did not respond were followed up and asked again. So that, I think the parents would be key here. In addition, she only spoke to one of the three selectmen, and they have different views. And she hasn't contacted me yet, but I know that's a question of time and it will happen, but I would like to say a few words to her. So anyway, that's my view.
And I think that mirrors the conversation we had yesterday, Sarah, is expanding it to the finance committee. And when Sarah and I had spoken, we talked about possibly some kind of introduction, a connection to, say, Normand. Normand, please expect a call from Mary Jane, who is working to do this, so that you don't see it as spam or an unrecognized number, whatever it might be, just something to help her facilitate the connection.
The list that I ended up giving her back last spring was, and I notified all of those people and let them know ahead of time that she may be contacting them, and just as a courtesy, just to let them know that I gave them their names, and so they knew.
Well,
but
let's
it's
do it
just,
again.
I tried to give a cross section of the lots of different angles of those parents, but it doesn't surprise me on the return rate. It's disappointing for sure.
Well, so we try again, because I know when Lindsay, Ann, and I went through the first results and we looked at the list, it's just not representative, and they're not enough, just in terms of sheer number.
Yeah. And I think we need to make sure that the list provides Mary Jane with accurate data so that she can have the conversations and make sure that the active parents really are active and they're not alums and all of that, because there are a couple of people that I think probably are not labeled correctly, and at least one who has not been at the school for so long that I'm not sure why they're on the list.
She's coming tomorrow, Scott?
Yes.
You can spend some time with her doing that, and then let me know how Lindsay, Ann, and I can help.
Okay, we can do that. She's got a pretty tight schedule, but I think we can talk about the list of parents. I was trying to find those parents that had been here that could talk about the before and the now and the after, but I may just give her the whole list of the parents
I don't think that's a bad idea.
and just say, here's our current parent list. I don't mind doing that.
So what
I
information?
can put a disclaimer in our newsletter actually to say that I've done so that if they get a phone call or an email from somebody that there's a purpose for it. It's not a voter poll.
So what information is on that list? Just name and
Email.
contact information?
I'll just emails.
Okay.
Phone numbers. But I'm not going to email I'm just going to give Mary Jane the contact information, but let the parents know that I've done that and that they may get a call.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm not sharing all that information with each other, with all the parents, just Mary Jane.
And
Probably be good to hit volunteers as well, because I know Sue Edwards, for example, had a lot of insights, even though she's not in the community anymore.
And I think that's our responsibility too. I mean, I think that because this is a community funded task, that we have a role to play too. So if you think of 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 names or groups of people that should be on the list, we need to email that to Mary Jane as well, and they may or may not get spoken with. I think we need to be proactive with that as well.
Well, if I can help, please let me know.
Yep. And Scott, this has nothing to do with your newsletters, because I've worked in enough schools to know that it's really hard to get people to read newsletters. So this is not a dig at you, but perhaps it actually is a separate email with a separate heading that might stand out a little bit more. I don't know.
You know, why don't you let me do that? Lindsay, I'm going to sink Lindsay's boat. I keep piling onto Lindsay, but let us do that out of the central office maybe. Might just connect a little bit differently because they don't hear from us a lot.
Yeah. And I think making some note of the fact that it's It's a town initiative too. It's
Okay.
not a central office initiative.
No, I entirely agree. We'll get the language.
And I think we can talk it up in the community too. I wasn't honestly sure how the timing was going to go with this, with COVID and reopening the schools and all of that. So I've kind of been putting it on the back burner a little bit. But if now is the time for her to start up these calls again and get all that information, then we can talk it up in the community as well.
Sounds good.
We should have her come to voting day.
God, I thought your newsletters were really good. Pictures of kids, just, you know,
Yeah.
people can't look away from it.
No, it's true.
It's been good. We haven't had a lack of information to share, that's for sure. There's plenty out there.
Mhm.
All right. Do we have anything else?
You have
All right.
one comment in the Q&A box if you'd like me to.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
That's okay. It's just Terry Mitchell saying all staff were asked to give suggestions for anyone for her to talk to as well.
That's great. That's particularly helpful too. So hopefully she's got a different list than this that she has. Because I think all the stakeholders, you know, teachers, parents, townspeople, should be able to give suggestions and feel welcome to give suggestions for those type of ideas. All right. Great. All right. So without objection, I will declare the meeting adjourned at 6:43.
Thank you all and see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye, Scott.